Yeah.
Yeah, well, came with chips and a drink, I wasn't gonna say no.
We went to the Lions once there. And,
That's why I brought snacks.
Colorado game once, but. In the snow bowl. It was, I remember that.
No, my lunch was gonna be a breakfast burrito.
Rapids.
So down there, chips, Diet Pepsi.
That's a nice stadium, Colorado Rapids.
Have you seen? Next year. Well, it is 11:30. Not in charge. Oh, it is 11:29 on my phone. I will wait.
How are you?
My computer says 11:30. I only have Renee to blame for that. So I've asked a multitude of times why, and we can't figure it out. We tried resetting it. So then when I look down at the right, so I'll wait another minute. Sorry.
Yours is 29, mine's 30.
Yeah, see, mine says 11:30, but my phone says 11:29. And usually every meeting I wait for my phone and I forgot to look this time. No, we're waiting this other minute now. Okay, now we can go. All right, good morning. We will call this regular Board of Trustees meeting to order today, Wednesday, October 15th. Mr. Williams, or Trustee Williams, is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Aye.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee.
Oh, you got. Pledge of allegiance.
All right. Ms. Henning, we do have quorum. Any additions or deletions to the agenda today, Wednesday, October 15th, 2025? I would entertain a motion to.
I so moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Trustee Anderson, seconded by Trustee Williams to approve the agenda for the regular GCCD Board of Trustees meeting held today, Wednesday, October 15th. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull anything off the consent agenda? If not, I would, yes, sir.
Like to put staff.
Okay. Any motion for that?
Yes. Well, I don't think
Because
so.
you'll approve the consent without the staff. Or you, or.
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Okay. Then we will pull the staffing report off to be discussed shortly after the consent agenda.
I'll move to pass it.
Mr. Chairman, I think I think we need to do the discussion first, so then you can do the whole thing.
Okay, so then let's discuss the staffing agenda, the staffing report. Trustee Palmer.
So the only questions I had is we've hired 2 new faculty members for what faculty positions?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair McGrath. Trustee Palmer, Aaron Allen is in our welding program. Dr. Spriggs, is that accurate? Electrical, I'm sorry, electrical, yes. Aaron is a Campbell County native, actually. And so he's returned home and we're thrilled to have his expertise here. Jerry Trody is our new diesel instructor, comes to us from Floyd's. And so we're thrilled to have both of them on our faculty, and they both have dove in and are doing a phenomenal job. So thank you for that question.
And I guess I would ask, Mr. Chairman, so in the course of the future, if there's new faculty, if you put down if there are what positions there.
My pleasure.
On the report? Okay, excellent. Any other questions on staffing? Okay, Well, then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, including staff report. All right.
Second.
It has been moved by trustee Palmer and second by trustee Anderson to approve the consent agenda for today, Wednesday, October 15th. Any discussion? Further discussion? Excellent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Excuse me. For the good of the district, good news from the trustees. Any trustees got good news? Trustee Anderson.
Aowen Vesper, a Gillette College graduate, former Phi Theta Kappa officer, has just published her memoir, Earning My Vow. And so that's pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
So it includes discussion of her escape from the Moonies in the 70s. So it's pretty interesting.
Makes sense. A decade.
Any other good news from the trustees?
I have a little, my 10-year-old grandson, Wayland Smith, went to Wickenburg last week for the junior national finals bareback, and he won all 3 nights. He has come home as a world champion.
Any other good news?
I have one.
Okay.
We have a comet in the sky. And it's in the Big Dipper now. And it's a magnitude 4.5. And by the 23rd, it'll be just above where the sun sets. And it should be at 2.5, which will be very, very visible to the naked eye. And it's the comet Lemon. And I'm not sure it gets its name because it's sour or whether, but actually there's an observatory in Phoenix that's called Lemon. So that's where it got its name. So I encourage everybody to go watch it. Find a dark spot and see Comet Lemon.
Trustee Williams, what's the significance of 4.5 and 2.5 or 2.0 or 1.0?
Your
In a
brightest,
nutshell, please.
your brightest stars are one magnitude.
Okay.
And then your second magnitude will be 10 times dimmer than your ones. And your third magnitude will be 10 times dimmer than your second. So at 2.5 is pretty darn. All the stars in the Big Dipper are 2. So you can all find the Big Dipper? Okay, those are 2. So then it's going to be just about as bright as the stars of the Big Dipper.
All right. Excellent explanation. Thank you.
We're all lifelong learners, sir.
We are. Today, years old. I learned that. Any other good news?
I got a fashion. I need to show off
Let's go.
I was inducted into the Hall of Fame for athletic. This is the jacket.
It's very.
From now on,
nice.
everybody will have.
Looks
one.
good on you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
very,
you.
very nice.
Well, congratulations, Larry.
Yes.
Yeah, just well
Larry was
deserved.
a long time the second Booster Club president and served for what felt like about 25 years because he did such a good job. So thank you to that and your family.
Thank you.
Any other good news? Then I will finish up. My daughter got engaged 2 weeks ago. We're working on wedding plans. So I'm excited for Peyton and Dayton. So. All right. Good news from the college. Dr. Oberlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, we have a lot of good news to share with you today. So what I would first ask is if Mr. Humphrey would introduce our interim Dean of Arts and Science.
Thank you, Dr. Overlander. I would like to introduce Dr. Yvonne Carter. Dr. Carter is serving as our interim Dean of Arts and Sciences. We're so happy to have her here. She has extensive experience in the community college system in North Carolina, Wisconsin, has tremendous expertise in assessment and curriculum, and has done a wonderful job coming in and working with our deans and working with Dr. Spriggs and myself. And we're so happy to have her here. She's a huge Packers fan and Brewers, even though they had a tough game last night. Again, we're so glad to have you and welcome, Dr. Carter.
Dr. Spriggs, would you give the pleasure of introducing our interim Dean of Student Affairs? I know he was here earlier. He may not be here anymore. I think you went
too much. Staff member,
Staff member?
scheduled actually already.
Chair McGrath, trustees, Dr. James Daniels will be serving as interim dean of students. He has extensive experience, of course, in student affairs, across student affairs. He has served in multiple roles, including vice president of student services, dean of students, as well as dean of campuses, directors on campuses. So he really brings a wealth of information to us. Particularly, a major focus he's going to have is in regards to the enrollment management plan. So he's been working as soon as he got here on Monday, really reviewing some of the plans that we do have, as well as meeting with some of the staff members in order to help develop and enhance the plan, as well as educate, honestly, some of our staff. So he's going to be an asset by all means, I can tell already, just by my conversations with him. And he's really enthusiastic, so he's going to lift some energy also.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions from the trustees regarding either of our interim deans? Okay, Dr. Oakland.
Coach Longo, please come forward. Trustees, please help me congratulate our head women's soccer coach on his 100th career win in conference. 204, 500 and some.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. 103, maybe something like that.
304, something like that.
Yeah.
So coach, tell us about your win. Tell us about your first win, and then the exciting news about our women's team advancing.
Yeah. So, I mean, first win overall. You know, I guess win one of my career was at Indian Hills when I kind of took the program over the day before season started. So, that was quite a whirlwind of the year, essentially just trying to get fired. I was trying to figure things out on the fly. So, no, the last win was good. Win 100 was against the region school at home. So that was pretty special. You know, big shout out to AD Rayback we had a conversation leading up to it, and you know, she wanted to know if we wanted to make a big deal out of this or not leading up to it, and said no, the players got enough pressure, so we kept it quiet until right after the game. So that was very nice.
Awesome.
Yep.
So talk about the next step for the women's soccer team.
Yeah, so we're going down to Casper College on Saturday to play in the quarterfinals. So we were able to we finished 6th on paper, but Casper College, you know, played illegal players and, you know, had to forfeit. So now we're tied for 5th now. Unfortunately, lost the tiebreaker. So things got a little bit switched. So we'll go play Casper College at noon on Saturday.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations.
So 6th would have been Western. Is that what I thought I understood?
Yeah. Yeah, we would have been at Western Wyoming. We finished 3rd. So Casper College played an illegal player against us. So they got knocked all the way down to 3rd place. L Trip bumps up, Western Wyoming bumps up.
Okay.
So
Good luck.
thank you. Appreciate
Shorter
it.
drive.
Yeah. Oh, we're not complaining about that at all.
Thank you.
What's your overall record?
No,
Overall record's 10-6.
no athletes on I-80. We're not putting athletes on the road that have to travel I-80.
Oh, fair enough. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
No I-80
And
traffic.
387 has been redone, so that's delightful
Yes,
now.
right.
You don't break your teeth driving down the road.
Coach Longo,
Thanks, Coach Longo.
congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's just a few more things. So Executive Director Gross mentioned that she had applied for a $250,000 grant supporting veterans. We were awarded that grant. And so we're very grateful for the foundation that one provides that funding, but also for the hard work, not only of our foundation, but of course our Veterans Director, Brian Yeager. All those funds will be specifically for veteran services. We are actually in the process of hiring an assistant to Brian, so another veterans advisor, because our program has grown and the work that we do in that space has irritated another body. So we're very pleased with that. Trustee Smith mentioned the Hall of Fame banquet. It was the first induction. As contributors and special achievement, Mike Lackey was inducted. The McClellands were inducted, and also Trustee Larry Smith. Paul Young was also inducted. Unfortunately, he was not able to be here. So we hope he can come to a future event and share some stories, along with some phenomenal athletes. So rodeo was eligible, cross country and men's basketball. Those were the three sports that were eligible. And women's basketball were eligible for induction. So it was a great event and it was a wonderful year. And then finally, rodeo ended their fall season on a very positive note. The women down at LCCC Cheyenne's Rodeo took first, and then I believe our men took third. And so they have good standing in the region, but also there's a really great summary of their entire season on the Gillette College rodeo Facebook page. So if you want to see that summary. As many of you know, Coach Willa Duke announced his retirement at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which he was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. 20 years, he's been the only head coach and a very successful head coach. So we wish him nothing but the best as he goes forward with his career, and he will be missed. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, or if anybody else on staff or team have any more news to share. Good. All right.
Trustee Paul.
So, Mr. Chairman, President O'Brien, thank you. Thanks for that good news. And I guess a question with the grants, that was about a year ago that we approved a contract for grants, administration, I think, or preparation, those kind of things. Would it be possible at the next meeting to get a recap or a summary of what we've seen done in the last year? I don't know if that person was involved in this veterans grant or not, but I guess I'd like to sort of see how our investment is doing.
Sure. And I'm happy to address some of that now.
Please.
So Chairman Grant, trustee, what we found about 3 or 4 months into that contract wasn't going well. And so we have severed that contract. It was amicably separated. We do have another consultant that we're working with right now. And certainly Vice President Larson next month can give us some insight onto what we've been working on. Part of our dilemma is where we're at in accreditation. So many grants you have to be accredited. So many grants you have to be this, that, or U.S. Department of Ed eligible. So there's a lag there, but we are involved in a grant process with the Wyoming Energy Authority, some entities over in Idaho. It's a tech hub for this area. So we're continue to work on grants, but that consulting relationship did not work out. So we severed that relationship. So.
Thank you.
With the new, the grant we've got, how do we use that with all veterans in terms of all the things that we do with the veterans?
Sure, trustee
Please.
McGrath, Chair McGrath, trustee Williams. That grant was specifically, and certainly Ms. Gross can step to the podium because she submitted the grant, but it was focused on, first of all, adding a full-time equivalent employee to that position, but also more outreach services. So we can provide additional services. There's some childcare funding set aside in that grant for veterans, along with some other specific, I'm sorry, there's an event happening out here today, but along with some other very specific services for veterans. Ms. Gross, would you address those?
Sure. Thank you, President Oberlander. So we actually received the additional funding last spring for the additional position for the Veteran Services Program. So with this grant, what we did is some of that money went towards childcare expenses. A lot of it went towards professional development for veterans so they could go to some different conferences, that sort of thing. Some of it just was a program enhancement if they needed additional equipment, that sort of thing. And then there was over 100,000 left. And what we did with that is we had to set it up as a separate endowment. We currently have an endowment with this foundation, but it's the old state match, and we have to keep our state matches separate for accounting purposes. So we set up another endowment, and that'll provide more scholarship funding for vets too. So it provided lots of different services for our vets, and Mr. Yeager and I worked very closely on putting that together and identifying what those gaps were.
We work with NAT.
Mhm.
And we do, so he's part of this too.
No, he is not. No.
Director Gross, what's the length or President Overlander of that employment contractor? Is it a certain amount of years? Do we have money to cover? And then do we absorb that as the college? Does the foundation absorb that? Where does that go? If somebody can answer that for me.
Yeah, Chair McGrath, trustees, and certainly Executive Director Gross, we will continue to apply for that additional funding with a
Okay.
specific foundation. Should that money not come forward, we would reassess whether or not we can absorb it into the general fund. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So if I may, so is it currently a 1 year that we know we have, or do we know we have it at least for 2 years? At least enough money for that period of time?
Chair McGrath, so the way that works is I submit an annual grant application to them every year. And so we have to submit for that annually, but thus far they have done that every single year because they are so thrilled with the outcomes that our program has, and they're thrilled with all the work that Mr. Yeager has done. So I don't foresee that changing in the near future, because since I've been here, I've been submitting that grant application and we've always been funded. So as long as we continue to provide great services to the veterans, I don't see that going away.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions regarding this? Okay, thank you. Greg.
Thank you.
Any other good news or stuff? Okay, then we'll move on to organizational reports. President Oberlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, I will be as brief as I possibly can today. So as you know, we are focused very much on the candidacy evaluation visit on October 27th and 28th. We have been doing trainings with all faculty and staff every Friday since the mock review, well, maybe a couple weeks after the mock review came out. So there's a training that lasts about 2 hours every Friday afternoon. The last one will happen this Friday, I believe, is the last one. And so then we will take next week. We have fall break Monday and Tuesday. There'll be additional training happening those 2 days. And then we'll welcome the visiting team Monday morning, bright and early. So we look forward to completing that. We are confident in our faculty and staff bringing this home, and we'll move on to the next steps. So what happens after they leave, after the visiting team leaves, of course, they have about 30 days to complete their report. In the interim, if we go back and forth, the only thing we can correct is fact. We can't correct opinion. Then we wait to appear in front of the Institutional Actions Committee, and then the Higher Learning Commission trustees take action. We had hoped we could get in on December's hearing with the Institutional Actions Committee. We don't know if that's going to happen, just timing wise. So we're just going to have to see how all of it comes together, but we'll certainly keep you posted. And then once we're into candidacy, we'll begin the U.S. Department of Education process. We have invited the Wyoming Community College Commission team to Gillette so we can sit together and plan these next phases, because their work's going to be integral to what we do as well. So work's not going to stop after we finish this visit. We'll just go to the next phase. So yeah, so that visit's coming quickly. As you are aware, and as I shared with you, we are seeing a 6.3% increase in our health insurance premiums. As noted, we budgeted for a 3% increase. The increase was actually 6.3%. So we have in our budget already planned for that 3% through staffing savings, vacancy savings and such. We'll be able to make up that other budget amount, which works out to be about $26,000 for the rest of this fiscal year starting in January. So of course, we'll be planning for that in the next fiscal budget. So that increase. We haven't seen an increase in insurance premiums for about 4 years. So we knew it was coming. We just didn't think it would be 6.3%. So BWXT was on campus on Monday, and Josh Parker was here, visited, spent about an hour with Heidi Gross and I talking about academic programming, which Scott Durgan, we have visited with Scott on the advisory board about. Talking about the facility, what their needs are going to be. We do in the NZ build have those 2 fab labs that are not programmed yet. We believe those spaces, based on our conversation with Dr. Parker, are going to be adequate. We now go to the next step. What's the equipment going to look like? What does the ventilation need to look like? Ceiling height, all of those things are important to their processes. So we're working. In fact, I just sent an email to Dr. Parker asking for that coordination to begin. So with our architects. The exciting piece with BWXT is what we're currently doing at Gillette College is really what they need. There will be some additional programs. We talked about a chemical engineering tech. Chair Durgan said, could it just be a general lab tech program? So I posed that question. Some workforce programs like wastewater treatment will be important to them. It's important to the city as well. So there's some synergy around some of the other industries we already have in Gillette that we can stand up programs. Our MSHA team had a nice conversation as well, because of course, safety is important in their industry as well. A little bit different, they're OSHA, they're not MSHA. And then they have a specific protocol that they follow as well. So very good conversation. The CEO, I believe his name is Joe Miller, was on campus later that afternoon for his first tour of Gillette College and the tech center specifically. So we're just pleased that we're able to welcome them and serve their needs. We will work on a tour of their Lynchburg facility and also one of the colleges that they work closely with. So we're beginning the coordination so we can go down and visit those programs and make sure we're fully understanding what their needs are going to be. Along with that, BWXT hasn't completely crossed the finish line. And of course, as you may know, that they have applied for energy matching funds through the state of Wyoming. We have been asked to participate in signing a letter of support. If it pleases the trustees, I can certainly have Ellie update that letter and get it ready for signature, and so we can submit it. So I take your direction if that's something the trustees would like to do.
Do you have more on your report, or do you want me to discuss that now?
I have a couple more things, but we can certainly discuss this now.
So I will speak from my perspective. I think this is good for Gillette and certainly would like to support it. But I would leave that up to the trustees on their thoughts. So the letter is sent to the WEA, which is the Wyoming Energy Authority. On a personal level, I sent one, because I think it's good for Gillette, but I would open it up to the board for discussion.
I certainly support sending the letter.
Yes, sir.
Just a question. So I saw under the guidelines for the WEA that the grant can't be more than 50% of the full project cost. So what is the total? I guess I'm not familiar with that total project cost.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It says in the literature that it's a $500 million project. And they're asking for funds.
I would echo trustee Anderson's. I would
Do we need formal action on this then to send a letter? I would assume to sign a letter on as the form of the trustees.
Legal counsel believes it's appropriate, so we should take.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the letter drafted by, there was a sent in your email, a letter sent out, so with some modification of that, but I would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
So it's been moved by trustee Wadsberg and seconded by trustee Palmer to approve the letter in support of WXT to the Wyoming Energy Authority. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Excellent, thank you. Appreciate it.
We will certainly get that letter. Chair McGrath, trustee, just two more things.
Yeah.
We continue the detailed design work on the NZ build. We saw some new options yesterday. We will be going back a little bit to the drawing table because they've done some expansion that I just don't think we can accommodate into that building. Budget wise, we want to make sure we're staying where we need to stay within what we have already established. But the design work is coming along. They have met with faculty. They've met with us multiple times. So we continue the process forward. And then finally, the other piece I would mention is Dean Lindsay Wakefield and myself had an excellent conversation with CEO Matt Shahan at Campbell County Health, talking about the potential for some rural healthcare dollars coming in and infusing into the state. Should that happen, we have a really excellent opportunity to expand some of our healthcare programs. And so we're at the beginning stage of that conversation. But certainly be able to increase and expand our nursing program, look at some of the tech needs that they need, like farm tech, surgical tech. We don't know where that funding is at this point. I think it's just now open for application by the states. And so we'll just watch that closely as time goes by. Dean Wakefield?
What's that?
Anything to add?
No, we covered it all.
Trustees, that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
So President Overlander, I would add that I have heard through the grapevine that there are some in the state at the delegation who have said we should reject that funding coming in. So because it's federal dollars, and why would we want any of that money? And so, not saying our local delegation, but I've heard that. So just know that if the opportunity is there and you have the discussion, we obviously want that money because it's only going to help our local hospital along with programs like this. So I make that point because I know that I've heard it a couple different times. The other question I would have is our local delegation aware, have we made them aware of the 6% increase in health insurance? And what that's going to do to specifically Gillette College when we start discussing the mill levy and statute changed and so forth.
Chair McGrath, trustees, I have not brought that to their attention, but it's time probably for us to bring them back to the table for some conversation, so we can absolutely have that conversation. I'm happy to reach out to them, though.
I think that would be great. I think if you can reach out on both levels, in my estimation, one is 6%. And somebody had mentioned, maybe it was you, that the other community colleges were going to go back to the state for some additional monies to cover that 6%. Is that accurate?
Chair McGrath, trustees.
Whether or not they get it.
Whether or not they get it. So of course, right now, well, the governor's budget hearing was, I believe it was on Monday. And so there was a lot of work leading up to that by the Wyoming Community College Commission along with the presidents. And there was some asks made to cover some deficit funding in many different areas. Whether or not this was included in that, I don't think that announcement came out before we had submitted all of our documentation to the governor's office, but there certainly is a need for increased funding for the community colleges.
And having said that, understand, obviously, we are not eligible for that, for not assessing 4 mills, but also the accreditation. We could say we are accredited through Northern Wyoming Community College District, but that's a discussion for later. So, okay, any other questions for President Oberlander? Excellent, thank you. Moving on to the Gillette College Advisory Board, Chair Scott Durgan.
All right. Chair McGrath and trustees. Pretty excited. We've got a lot of stuff going on, so it's been really fun. Really, our focus is we have 2 committees. We have a future workforce committee, and then we also have a curriculum committee. The curriculum committee is run by Dr. Spriggs, and then Rusty Bell runs the future workforce. But we've been working together, which was kind of fun to see these committees working together, because really what we're trying to figure out is how do we get ahead of some of this stuff? BWXT is a great example. How do we get ahead of this? And then how do we build our curriculum to match what the needs are of the community? And we've just had some really good meetings lately. I think we're literally ahead of this to a certain extent. BWXT, we've talked to them. I've talked to some of the guys there, and they're just very happy that the reception that they've got from Gillette College. And I think we got to be proud of that. So thank you to you and your team. It makes a big difference when somebody's looking at a community and coming in and trying to figure out what are they going to do with their future workforce. So we've had some really good discussions. I'm not going to get into the weeds, but just excited to be able to help as an advisory board. That's kind of why we're here. And we're just trying to get our eyes and ears open to the community and what the needs are that Gillette College can fill. So it's pretty exciting. It's been a good board.
Thank you. Any questions for Chair Durgan? Well, on behalf of us, thank you for, Trustee Paul, please.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. My only question is what else can we do to support you guys?
It's a great question.
No, I think that's a fair question. We got great support from the leadership team, so that really helps a lot. So make sure that they help us. Is really the biggest thing. And if we need anything, I'm not shy, I'll ask. But overall, we've got a great team. We've got these subcommittees that are focused on certain things that we can do some of the lifting. We won't do the heavy lifting, but we can do some of the lifting and really get some of this stuff off the ground. So anyway, I really appreciate that question. And if I think of something, I'll let you know. Thank you.
I think that's great. And as we move through the accreditation process, and then it kind of opens you up to new and additional programs, I think some of that really changes for you guys too, of, hey, the needs that you guys then see and bring to us. So I appreciate that. Thank you thanks for all you do. Yes.
I think one thing I would add to our Gillette College Advisory Board is that we are so fortunate to have the expertise. Our leadership team gets focused in many, many different areas. And so their expertise helps us look at our own blind spots, right? Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, that makes good sense. Let's reconsider this direction. So it's very helpful to us as the leadership team to have an additional, what do you have on the advisory board now? 12? 12 eyes and ears listening to bring those topics to our attention. So it's been very helpful. I'm so very grateful we didn't disband this very important group at Gillette College. So it was a wise decision on the trustees' part to keep them.
Excellent. Any other questions? Chair Durgan, thank you, as always. All right. Moving on, Director of Institutional Research, Interim Associate Vice President. It's a mouthful. Roger Humphrey, welcome back.
Thank you, Chair McGrath, trustees. I just wanted to give you a snapshot of our enrollment, our head count, and just also preface it that those numbers that we pulled last week in the presentation have already changed. And I passed around an update this morning and give you an idea. Those numbers sometimes are fluid. So our first slide going forward gives an idea of just some facts of the students that we have enrolled. So you can see that it's almost a 50-50 split. We have about 52% of our students are part-time enrolled in less than 12 credits. Almost 48% are enrolled in 12 or more credits. An interesting fact, if you look down on the lower left corner, 91% of our students were their first destination, Gillette College. And so our transfer rate is about 9%, well under 9%, but that's sort of exciting that we're our first stop in their educational career. The column over to the right gives you an idea by residency. As you can see, 83% of our students as of last week are Campbell County residents. Those are our concurrent, our degree students. So we're serving our community well. 8% are Wyoming residents outside of Campbell County. So right at about 91% of our students are Wyoming residents. In terms of non-Wyoming residents, about 6% outside of the state of Wyoming, and about 2.2% are international students. So a really good flavor of students that we have. Okay. This gives you an idea in terms of our head count, and in terms of this was as of the 8th. And as you can see, within a week, that number is almost 1,500. A lot of those numbers are our concurrent students that are coming in. And so we're hopeful by the end of October, we'll have that fairly solid. Most of those should be in. We had a little bit of a delay with getting some of those in. And so you can see we're very close to where we were a year ago. We anticipate that we'll be over that 1,500. Also, once we begin C block this week, that will be included, those students that are enrolled in that 8-week section this semester. Okay. In terms of FTEs, you can see that we were at 1,029 a week ago. We're at 1,143. This is the number of credits times 12. And this is a critical piece when we look at, in terms of fast forwarding in the state funding model. FTEs are funded, and so it's critical to track these. And that equates to the next slide, that 1,000.
Divided by 12, isn't it?
Pardon?
Divided by 12 or multiplied?
Times by 12, multiplied, excuse me.
Number of credits times.
The number of FTEs times 12 gives us the total credit. The total credit is divided by 12, which gives the FTEs. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Backing it in either way, I see your question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. We had 12,348 credits, students that were enrolled. As of this morning, we had 13,716. So we saw a significant bump in those number of credits enrolled. The critical piece is keeping them all the way through the semester, okay, that they complete those. And the next slide gives you an idea in terms of just the breakdown, as you can see, and this was of last week, 478 students. Not much of a variance between last week and this week. Those are typically the students that are enrolled, grad or degree seeking students. We see a significant increase in the number of full-time non-degree seeking students. Many of these are our concurrent students that are enrolled in 12 or more. And so 124, I went back, as our highest over the last 3 years in terms of non-degree full-time students. In terms of our part-time degree seeking students, very similar. We were right at 275. That number hasn't changed. The concurrent or the overall number has went up again to 4,447. I believe the next slide gives you an idea of our concurrent dual. As a week ago, we had 438, and as of this morning, 679. And we anticipate that number to go up a little bit more here over the next couple of weeks as we get those late registrations entered.
Is that what it is, just later? I mean, to go from 438 to 639 in a week feels like a huge jump. Is that what drives it, just late registration?
Chair McGrath, yes, what we had is we had about, most of Campbell County High School had not been entered in the call league.
Okay.
And so there was a significant amount of those students that still needed to be entered into the system. And so a week ago, there were a pile about this big. Today, there were about not too many, so. Yeah. All right, the next slide, I believe, gives you the head count. This is our returning and first-time students. Returning students really has changed in terms of, or excuse me, the first-time students from a week ago, but you can see from 920 to 1,173 first-time students, or excuse me, returning students. Many of those are our concurrent students coming back into the system. Yes. Our next slide gives you an idea in terms of the programs, and I apologize for the smallness of this. I should have put it in 2 slides. The column to the left are our programs that are under our memorandum of understanding. The ones to the right are Gillette students that are enrolled in programs that are not under our MOU. So for example, athletic training is a Sheridan or Northern Wyoming Community College District program. Biology on the left is our program. And so you can see that we had overall some nice increases in some of our programs. As Dr. Obelander mentioned, our education, both elementary and secondary, grew significantly. Our psychology still is holding, I believe it's up 7 students from a year ago at the same time frame. Our business is a little bit down, but fairly close to where we were a year ago. And so our numbers in terms of our programs are fairly stable. On the right side, we did see some decreases in some of the programs through Sheridan College. And again, these are all Gillette location students. And so we saw some decreases in some of the tech programs that have been offered previously. Okay. And again, we'll monitor these. For the most part, these numbers will stay pretty stable through the semester unless students begin to change their degrees for spring semester. So, okay. All right. Any questions for me?
Mr. Paul, and maybe trustee Watson or vice chair Watson hear some of this as well. If you, could you put that chart back up again for just a second, that
Sure.
last one? With all the degrees.
Okay.
That was working through. Well, the question I have for you, Director, is that Vice President, is the practical nursing certificate at Sheridan, is that an LPN?
Chair McGrath, trustee Palmer, yes, that is still part of the Sheridan program. Our nursing students, we usually pull over and put those on our side, but technically they're under Northern Wyoming Community College.
So, and is that a 1-year certificate program?
Yes.
That requires state licensure.
Mhm.
First year of the nursing program.
Okay, and I understand, I guess I didn't realize that we were still offering an LPN.
I'll turn it over to Dean Wake.
Please, Dean.
We are not. Thank you. We are not an LPN program. We are an RN program with the option to step out at the LPN level.
Okay. Okay. Do we, okay, Mr. Chairman, do we
Please,
see a
yeah,
lot
fire
of,
away.
do we see a lot of those individuals? I guess I'm just curious. That I've not seen an LPN certificate in quite a while, and that just surprised me.
We have a lot of our students that will walk for their LPN certificate, but we have very, very few that stop
Okay,
at that level.
okay.
It's usually unplanned.
Thank you.
And it's advantageous for an employment standpoint. For example, I mean, obviously, if you sit for your LPN and want to be able to work during the summertime, your likelihood of having a higher income as an LPN is obviously greater than as a CNA. So that's why it's nice that our program offers that option, because I do see that as being a really good thing. My program did not offer that. So it didn't meet the requirements to sit for the state board licensure for as an LPN, but I do see that that is advantageous. I think the other driving thing that's really important in healthcare is obviously like Dean Wakefield just mentioned is to retain them and have them go on and complete that second year. And now with the 2+2 advantage with the University of Wyoming, for example, or through other resource sites, it's even more advantageous to go on and get your bachelor's degree, but it makes you, your lifestyle could be in such that you're actually employed and being able to still continue your degree. So.
Chairman, thank you. Thank you. Explanation. That's good to know. I did not realize we had that option. So an individual in the nursing program would have to sit for 3 different exams. So if they went on to get their BSN though.
No, when you sit for your registered nursing, it doesn't matter if you graduate from an ADN program or the certificate program or I mean, a diploma program, that's a 3-year degree, or a BSN. It's still one national test for the RN degree.
Chairman Garth.
Please.
Mr. Humphrey, could you go back to the head count 21 fall to 25 fall?
Yes, ma'am.
This slide always bothers me.
Okay.
Could you pull that back up? No. And I think it's worth further explanation.
Yes.
Shaw, that's right.
Yes.
So if you recall, it was at this time period in fall of 21, 22 timeframe that we began not charging half credit to our MSHA participants. So that's why you see that sharp decline. Now, as we begin to prepare for the next phase, we'll reassess that, right? We'll reassess whether or not that's advantageous, whether it's advantageous for our industry partners, for those students to have credit. It's basically the same amount, whether or not we give them tuition. Where it becomes important is if and when we go into the state funding allocation model, because it's generating FTE, right? So those are all conversations we have to have, but that's why those numbers, there's that sharp decline there. And I just think it's always worth explanation why we see that decline there.
Great point.
And a footnote to that slide would be great for an historical perspective, because I was looking at.
Ellie,
that
could you
as
put
well.
that back up, please?
She's just quick, she's efficient. She likes to-
Go ahead, please.
Just said to make a footnote to that, because that also really bothered me, because I'm thinking, okay, so post-COVID, how could it be that, because that's a drastic decline in my assessment, but forgetting. So thank you, Trustee Anderson, for remembering ahead of the game that it was with MFA. And even though I was around during that time, I still didn't quite understand how that all happened, but that doesn't matter. I mean, but I think going forward, that's an important thing to remember when we're looking at just state and equity amongst the junior colleges.
And we'll see a similar pattern with spring of 22 on the historical numbers. The MSHA numbers were rolled in for fall 21, spring 22, summer 22. And so fall of 22, they were not in our counts.
Chairman Graff, trustees, I think it's worth mentioning that in the funding allocation model, as it currently sits, any non-credit class, workforce training, things we do at Area 59, MSHA, it's not included in the funding formula. So we are doing more and more non-credit workforce training. Been brought up by the presidents a few times. We haven't had a chance to really get in the weeds with it, but it is not included. And so when you look at our overall headcount, when you put all the numbers together, we push into 45 to 5,000 students that we serve a year across the campus. And so it's significant. Those are significant numbers. So.
Mr. Cullen. Mr. Chairman, President, going back to days gone by, we used to count that, and the state used to count that, and used to give us money. And I don't know what caused that change. I think probably reduction in budget more than anything else. But it's interesting that it's come full circle again. And because so much of what we do is dependent upon what our workforce and our employers need. And I think the state needs to be more cognizant of that and receptive to the fact that that still has as much, if not greater value in some cases. And that it should be funded. So if there's a way that through WACT or through the Community College Commission that we can be supportive of that happening, I guess as one trustee, I'd like to see, there's a great benefit in having those certificate non-credit bearing courses being approved for some level of funding.
Jim McGrath?
Please.
One more thing, trustees, thank you. Very good point. I would also add that at the national level, I believe it has passed that there is a Pell Grant for workforce training. So students who are going, community members who are going into a non-credit workforce program could be eligible for Pell dollars. We, of course, have not delved into that because we're just getting ready to start our journey with the U.S. Department of Education. But at the national level, it's been recognized how important those programs are to our industry partners and have began the process to offer those types of Pell Grants. So.
I have two questions for you. Thank you for that, Dr. Leonard. Number one, in the FTEs and right now, where does that put us in the state of Wyoming in sizes versus other community colleges, the other 7?
Chair McGrath, with our numbers of FTEs, we're very comparable to Eastern Wyoming College and Central Wyoming College with just our FTEs.
Okay.
The two combined with Sheridan and us, I believe we are right behind LCCC and Casper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. My second question on that last slide, the column on the right, they were taught out of Sheridan. Is that correct? Is that
Yes. Well, they're Gillette location students by location. They're enrolled in those programs either online. Most of those are online students, with the exception of our ADN students in those programs from Sheridan.
Okay, so the number of those programs that they're online, are they taught, do we know, out of Sheridan, like out of Sheridan location or a Gillette location?
Chair McGrath, bulk of those are taught by Sheridan faculty. A
Okay,
handful of our faculty teach some of those online courses, but the bulk of them are taught by Sheridan faculty.
okay, so then my follow-up question is, in a year, when we're accredited, do we have the capacity to absorb the majority of those to be taught out of Gillette?
Chair McGrath, that is an excellent question. We're looking at that right now in academics. So for example, how many of the business courses, if we moved those back over, would be taught here? What is the faculty, the staffing projections? So we're looking at all of those that were currently enrolled in those, what we call O1 sections that are Sheridan sections that are typically online. What would that look like if we taught those here? Staffing, space, resources, and begin to fold those over.
Excellent.
Yeah.
When, and maybe Dr. Overlander, when might you have some of those thoughts or projections or availability to know the answer to?
Chair McGrath, Dr. Carter has been tasked with that via Dr. Spriggs, and we're hoping to have that by December 1, that we can bring back to Dr. Spriggs and then to cabinet and go through that. So we're looking at all the programs right now of those courses. What would it look like if we could deliver those here? What's the feasibility of that? And so.
And I say that as some of them are 0 or 1 or 2, but there are some that are 50 or 80. So I would certainly
Yes.
hate to lose those programs for our students here in Gillette.
So for example, when you look at exercise science and athletic training,
Yes.
the bulk of those kinesiology courses are taught by Sheridan faculty. What would that look like if they were taught here?
Okay.
Do we have the capacity in terms of space, resources, all the different types of things?
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No,
This question I
It's
had.
a great question, and it's on our radar, and our report is due December 1.
Okay,
Chair McGrath.
Dr. Overlander.
Trustees, what you'll also note in your packet coming up here under new business is we're asking you to approve 5 new programs. Some of those are listed on this table, exercise science, athletic trainer. Those programs are popular on the Gillette College campus. We don't anticipate beginning those in the fall of 26, likely the fall of 27. And so that's the opportunity for us to plan and ensure that we have the faculty and the budget in place. The other point that Trustee Anderson brought up to me earlier was we gotta make sure we're ready for online, right? And so again, those conversations are happening at the vice president level with our deans on ensuring that we're ready for that transition.
And I would agree. And I would, just my assumption, which I guess you know what you get when you assume, but with the athletic programs, you're gonna have more, sure, not having athletic programs, having athletic programs, that's gonna feed more towards exercise science and athletic, you know, for some of those kids, that's the direction they want to go. So
Demographic, potentially it would be interesting to look at those demographics. Students who are interested in physical therapy, occupational therapy often start through that path, or other healthcare programs, or they often start through that path as well. So it'd be interesting to see. I don't know how many of our athletes are enrolled in those programs, but we could look.
Just a couple other points real quick, Mr. Chairman. So, Sheridan Northern Wyoming Community College isn't the only online source for classes for our students, correct? The other community colleges offer some programs. I'm thinking like respiratory, those kind of things. So there's other community colleges that our students are also enrolled in. Do we have a breakdown of what that looks like?
Chair McGrath, trustee Palmer, I don't, but I can get that. Those would be typically the white class courses that they might be enrolled in. And I can pull those and see where we are with those.
And with that same observation can we also see what students are coming to Gillette College from other community colleges in the state that are taking our online classes?
great question.
Because I think that's, again, it would just be interesting to see those numbers.
Yeah,
And
I
the
will.
last request I have is because these numbers have changed, in some cases pretty significantly, and you don't have to give a report next time if you want, and the chair or the president would like, but in November, can we get the updated? And the reason I say that is because this went out in the packet, those numbers went out in the packet that way. These numbers have significantly changed. I'd like to see that in next month's packet with the updated numbers. So that if anybody just picks up the packet, they're saying, wow. And then in November, they can say, oh, wow.
Chair McGrath, trustee Palmer, I'll make sure that we have, along with probably the official 23-24 enrollment report, once the commission publishes that.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Chair McGrath, thank you. Chair McGrath, trustees, would it be helpful to have some narrative with those numbers?
Mr. Chairman, I think, and the point you brought out and that Vice Chair Osprey pointed out in terms of that footnote. And I think just again, that just a summary below saying, it's an evolving situation. And I think just having that in, so if somebody picks that and looks at the packet online, cold, not knowing the history or actually listening to your presentation, I think you're right, having some narrative that would went with that to say, because it's going to be the same every year. It's an evolving process until you get to those final numbers.
Thank you.
I will agree with that. I looked at those original numbers and went, oh, wow, we're way down. And so it was very nice to see. I saw these numbers yesterday at the Bochis meeting. I was like, oh, good.
Agreed. Yes, thank you. And great discussion. Any other questions for VP Humphrey? Great discussion. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
that very much. Faculty Senate report, President Jared Vance. Welcome back.
Glad to be here. So, good afternoon, trustees, Chair McGrath, and the trustees. I don't have a huge report. So we've met once since our last meeting, or the Board of Trustees meeting. And as Faculty Senate, we put together a proposal for a procedure on developing committees outside of Faculty Senate and those standard 3 that we have, assessment and curriculum. Mostly just to make sure that our faculty isn't getting, certain people aren't getting more work than others. And then that the deans are aware of what all the faculty are involved with. That went out to faculty. We're waiting on feedback at our next meeting. We'll discuss that feedback and go from there with that. We also put together it's in the works. We started a survey on what faculty's thoughts on what the future of the bookstore for the college will be going forward. I know there's another meeting going on this week with that. And so we'll take that information, kind of do the same thing, put out a survey, get the opinions of faculty and put that all together next meeting. Forward that up to the cabinet, go from there. That's where we're at right this second.
Okay, any questions for Jerry? Yes, please.
Just, could you give me an example of other committee work? And outside, you said the 3 assessment curriculum and
So the recent one I can think of is we had an OER put together where they were looking at open resources. And so that would just, if somebody wanted to put the committee together like that, that was in that direction of cabinet, it was more of a faculty driven committee. Then they would come to the faculty senate, say, we want to do this. These are kind of people we were thinking. We would check in with the deans and make sure that they're not overloaded somewhere else. And then go ahead and either approve or make suggestions to that.
thank you.
Any other questions? Jerry, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Moving on, the Annual Security and Fire Safety Report, ASFSR. Greg Bush.
Well, good afternoon. I think we're afternoon now. Chairman McGrath, trustees. Just going to give you an overview today of the report. This is from the Northwest Community College District and the Gillette Community College District in conjunction. I work with Jana Clements very closely gathering this data, helping put it together, but it still comes through Sheridan until I almost said navigate accreditation, but would it be fair to say we're going to knock it out of the park? Okay, instead of navigate, we'll go knock it out of the park. And that's about a 2-year process before we fully take this on ourselves, just because you're tracking data from a year back and submitting that. The first slide or two, I guess I would just mention our mission, vision, and values. You can tie in this piece to a little bit of all 3. Both with innovation, Cleary Edge, we're going to get to them in a moment. And I think more importantly is providing a safe environment for students to learn and our staff to work and faculty to teach. If we can't do that, we're going to struggle. And so I would just mention that this definitely ties into all 3. So the Cleary Act itself, sometimes what I do is a little heavy, not always fun to talk about. And this would be a part of that. We're going to start out that way, but it's going to get better. I don't know if everyone knows the background of the Cleary Act, but this came about because Jean Cleary was raped and murdered in the dorm room in 1986. And you can read through that. You know, her parents had a belief that she, as a student, would have been more cautious if she would have had information. It took a while, but federal government agreed. And they enacted the Cleary Act, and there's been multiple revisions over the years. So that's why this is in place now. And it's unfortunate sometimes that it takes a tragedy to make these changes, but I can tell you that's why I appreciate working specifically, I'll say leadership as a whole. I don't leave anyone out, but my supervisor and President Oberlander, because since I've been here, they've been very proactive in putting my part of the world as a priority. So I appreciate that. So Cleary Act requirements. There's specific crimes we have to report on. We're going to go through some of those. It's an odd, I think sometimes mishmash of what crimes make it into reporting and what doesn't. We have to provide safety and crime information. That goes up multiple times, both from Sheridan and Gillette. 2 and 3, that's our emergency alert notification broken down into 2 pieces, timely warnings and emergency notifications. We just did a system-wide test last Friday using Alertus and Regroup, our 2 tools. And that went off very well. The only piece we didn't test was the internal, external speakers. We'll test those when everyone's not around some evening and ensure they're working correctly. But beyond that, it went pretty flawless. So I feel very comfortable that not only do we have that set up to get out messaging, but we have a team put together that's trained and can send out messages. Sometimes I'm not available. We have backups for me. And so I think we're in a very good spot to get information out to people when they need it. And those are a couple of the clear requirements. And the last is really what we're talking about today, the annual, or the ASFSR. And so that went out in September from Sheridan and October 9th from us. And that's posted on both the Gillette page and the Risk web page as well. So, and then there's a hard copy in my office, and if anyone needs it, they get a hold of me, we'll make sure they get a copy. So that's the Clery Act itself and some of the requirements. So then let's go into the data from the last year. So you can look at the next slide here, some of the Clery reportable crimes. And like I said, it's interesting, the ones that make it on there, they've decided it, we report the ones we don't, but there were none from 2022 to 2024 at Gillette College. So we look back 3 years in addition. If you go through the bigger document, you'll see it's broken down by column all 3 years. Liquor law violations, both arrests and disciplinary referrals have trended up rather significantly. So students are out there probably making some decisions they shouldn't. We're tracking that. It does get addressed here both ways. So this is more just information for you at the moment. Our next slide. No fires or open flames were reported in the residential housing from 22 to 24. No hate bias crimes from 20 to 24. And no VAWA, which is Violence Against Women's Act, were reported in 2024, but we did have one stalking case in 2022. So next year that will drop off. Our students have multiple opportunities to learn about dating violence and intervention. That's provided throughout the year, convocation. And I give a shout out, a tip of the hat to Chantel Moore, HR director. She went out and got a grant, and you've probably heard about that, for the Green Dot program. So that's being implemented as well, which goes to this very point. So many opportunities for our students to learn what they can do, what they can't do, and how to intervene if they see something that's off. All right, our last slide here. No weapons-related referrals or arrests from 22 to 24, and no drug-related referrals or arrests. And highlighted here, the main purpose of this is to make show the college's commitment to preventing crime and promoting safety. And so I hope our students, I hope students' families, I hope community members are reading this. We're going to be transparent, put everything out there. When we see trends we need to address, we'll address them. So that's the whole purpose of this. A new piece this year, our next slide, is the Stop Campus Hazing Act. Little background here, it came from Gary and Julie DeVersely. Their son, Gary, died from a hazing event in 2007. And they've been pushing pretty hard for years to get this in place. And so now it is in place. And so my next slide, I'll tell you what that entails. But things are fluid. I'm sure you realize that. Right now, our military is reviewing their hazing policy as it's overly broad. And so I don't know how that will impact the Stop Campus Hazing Act, if it will, because it's just implemented this year, but we'll track what happens. But when you see trends out there, when they're looking at the military to lessen hazing issues, it may or may not come here. So we'll follow that. But for right now, our next slide. 3 components. Hazing statistics. So we've got a placeholder, both Jen and I, for tracking hazing incidents at both colleges here. That's in place. Next year, you'll see, I will report to you on hazing incidents, if any happen. Implementation of hazing policies. Again, in my part of the world, there's a couple heading away from me, a couple of different policies. Hazing is one of them. Drafted, finalizing that. And so we will bring that through the process here to get that in place as a policy for Gillette College. And then putting a report together just on hazing events. Hopefully it's very short in the next years and as we move forward, but that will go out to the college community as well, those 3 pieces. Last piece is Clery Edge. Spoke to the innovation with our values. So no one's calling me a tech genius, but by gosh, we're going to innovate a little bit. So we're going to move our Cleary pieces onto some software that's been developed through D Stafford and some partners. And so this software, setting it up can always be challenging, but using it's proving to be a little easier. We can manage our campus security authorities, different people all over campus that have responsibilities for Clery reporting. We can deliver our training through Clery Edge. We can record track all of our crimes instead of me doing it manually. We put it in here now. And then we can also send out our letters to law enforcement annually for them to report to us. So this is going to streamline many things for us. And our Clery maps have all been created and uploaded in there as well. So in our last few steps of setting this up and having that completed for full implementation. And that's the overview I had for you, but I'd happily take any questions. Chairman McGrath, trustees, if you have anything for me.
Any other question? Yeah, trustee Williams.
Yes, sir.
Back in the 50s, a lot of things that happened to us probably were called hazing.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I can remember at Huntington High School, as a freshman, seniors would make us push nickels down the hallway at Huntington High School. Would that be hazing today? And I'm not sure, hazing's a big word. So what identifies, all the things identifies hazing? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It's a very big question.
I mean, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hazing.
Getting slapped on the rear with a paddle, rat tails in the locker rooms, drinking till you're past inebriation, and pushing nickels across the floor. All of that will fit. It's a pretty wide category they put in there right now. But they're bringing some of that back to the military now. They're saying, well, yeah, you can do that. So that's why I mentioned that to you, that may impact us a year or two from now on this, depending on what this administration does.
Do we have dorm assistants?
Yes, we have RAs. Yes, sir.
We have RAs.
Trustee Palmer.
I guess a couple things. My comment to, and I know you referenced it a couple of times about what's happening with the current administration and the Department of Defense. I don't really care. If we prepare a policy, we live with that policy. And if the administration wants to do something differently on a national level, that's fine. We still need to take steps that we prevent hazing on a local level. I'm worried about our community. I'm worried about our students, our college. Let's get the policy in place and we'll follow that. What the federal government wants to do, or whatever the change of the flavor of the day is, that I think we continue on as. And I think that it's appropriate and that we as trustees should support what you put together. The other question or another comment I would make is that because we had such a significant increase in disciplinary referrals for liquor law violations, almost threefold. What are we doing to help address? It's interesting between the arrest versus the referrals, but what are we doing to help students understand that? And I guess the point is that if many of us have been through the university system or the community college system, students drink. They do. And so, but what are we doing to help them make better decisions?
I can take a stab at that, and then I may pitch part of this off to Dr. Spriggs. The disciplinary actions, as an example, my understanding without David being here, would be drinking in a dorm room, right? Having alcohol in your vehicle, bringing it back and forth. The arrests are arrests on campus. If we have a DUI, minor in consumption on our campus, that's the differentiation. What are we doing? I think I would let David and Dr. Spriggs address the housing piece of that, but I can tell you when I had the opportunity at convocation, I made it painfully clear what you can and can't do and what's acceptable. And then I made it painfully clear again. And I've had questions afterwards from students, certainly about the weapons policy, which was new, but again, about marijuana, drinking, questions come up. It's very painfully clear. I don't think there's misunderstanding what you can and can't do. It's just choices that are made. Dr. Spriggs, is there anything you could add with from the perspective of housing?
Chairman Grath, as Dr. Spriggs makes his way to the podium, I had the same questions, Trustee Palmer. I think also to point out, and possibly a footnote on the presentation, is the resident I-Hall was not open in 2022. We did not reopen I-Hall until 2023 when our on-campus living increased, right? And so those numbers certainly, when we had less students on campus, were lower. But I don't like the trending up either. The referrals, the disciplinary referrals is due process, doesn't necessarily mean they were found responsible, but they were going through the due process piece. They may have been found responsible, they may not have. So I think that's part of that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, President Oberlin. I think we can all agree that what's actually referred and what's actually happening are two different things. And sometimes the referrals are the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's actually occurring on campus. And I would say that there's more than 26 opportunities for disciplinary action probably. So, but again, I'm glad to hear what steps. I think this needs to be an ongoing communication and education with our students because they're all human and they have lapses in judgment just like the rest of us do. So I think that ongoing education is important.
Yes, Chair McGrath, trustees. One of the major things that we go through is an educational program itself on drugs and alcohol. Anytime a student is around alcohol, what we might call destructive possession even. So they don't even have to actually be the ones with it in their hands. And they'll go through that alcohol program as well as referred to counseling for more education, really. Additionally, within the residence halls itself, that's part of the residence life curriculum too, where students are reminded of drugs and alcohol. They're reminded of coping with stress. They're reminded about diversity and a number of other things that comes in that packet. But we respond as a no tolerance to begin with. Of course, as was mentioned, those in possession could be arrested. But from the student development piece of it, it is really that educational component. And depending on, honestly, the amount that you may be in possession with and the frequency, it actually increases. As that increases, so does that frequency of severity of response, really.
Okay, Dr. Spriggs, thank you.
So I have a question and then a point. Is a student of age allowed to have alcohol in the dorms? Excuse my ignorance on policy. Is there clear no alcohol in the dorms? If they're 21, 22 years old, are they allowed to have alcohol?
No.
Okay.
No. There's no alcohol within the residence halls itself. You can choose not to live in the residence halls and still come here and drink alcohol.
Okay. The other point that I would like to make, I'd like to take the positive side that there's a lot of no's on here, and I would hope that we promote that we have a very safe and inclusive campus. And there's no open fires, no hate crimes, no VAWA, no clearly reportable crimes. I mean, for me, if I'm sending my child here, which I have, but a lot of us are doing, I want to know that I'm sending them somewhere that's a safe campus. And I think that's certainly something that we, as the Board of Trustees, I think are very interested in, but also as a college campus, we should be very proud of. You know,
Yes.
I mean, I know we have some reportable alcohol crimes, don't get me wrong, but like,
Yes.
I go back.
You know, alcohol crimes, as everyone knows, it will exist. It's really our response to that, really, and ensuring then that the students are educated or they believe they don't want to live within our campus milieu. I mean, that's the other option they always have. But, you know, the increase in engagement, as you heard last month in regards to the activities and keeping our students engaged, not only on the grounds, but even in the residence halls itself has increased significant. And it's really, I can see the proactivity now a little more than I did in the past, where we're not just making rounds and checking on people, but we're engaging with these students and moving towards that more peer guided type of of environment, which is pretty much, it does bring about a decrease in them taking care of themselves and at the same time them developing as students. So it all becomes part of how we want to establish the milieu within residence life and on campus.
Excellent. Trustee Williams.
If we do have a student with an issue, do we have a process to help that student in terms of a counseling?
That's part of the process, yes. In other words, if you have a student with any issue, but if we're talking about alcohol as an example, part of their program itself, of our response to that, I don't really necessarily call it discipline, but our response to that situation is become more educated as well as speak with our counselor in regards to an assessment.
Do we provide that?
Yes, that's our first response, really.
Any other questions? Vice President Spriggs, Craig?
Chairman McGrath, I'm just glad you brought that up. That's what I was going to wrap this up with. I mean, there's opportunity for improvement to address alcohol. That challenge will likely be there for some time to come. But as a whole, as a college, I'd be wildly impressed with this report. I think it's a safe campus. The numbers show that. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Moving on to old business, the second final reading of the revised policy 3000.7 public records. Dr. Ober.
Chairman McGrath, trustees, this is your second and final reading of the revision to policy 3000.7 public records. The only change is in this policy is who we are naming as our custodian of public records, changing that from Maggie Longo to Ellie Hemming. There have been no changes since your first reading.
Excellent.
I move to approve policy 3000.7 public records as presented.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by trustee Anderson, second by trustee Williams to approve the second final reading of policy 3000.7 public records policy. Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Excellent. Closing out my tabs here. Approval of the academic programs. Dr. Barry Spriggs.
Chair McGrath, trustees, I bring before you 5 new programs to add to our present portfolio upon receiving accreditation we'd like to offer. The timing of these programs are important as we're looking at the springtime period, really, to start the Department of Education process and to have these programs as part of our program participation agreement. These programs, as you saw some of the numbers up there before, these are programs that students here that have the Gillette location has traditionally taken over the past years, as well as budget-wise, we, even in the 26 budget, we could actually address these particular programs. We do have a couple positions that we're still examining how we're going to fill. In addition to that, of course, as we continue to recruit students and even our athletics, I know that was mentioned earlier, some of these programs specifically address that. So the request is really to actually approve the Associate of Arts and Certificate in Human Services, the Associate's degree in Nursing, Associate of Science in Exercise Science, and Associate of Science in Athletic Trainings. As noted, these programs will be added to the 26 programs that the commission approved back in June of 2023. The timing of these programs going through this process, our hope is to get your endorsement and then take it through the commission process, Academic Affairs Council, and then of course the President's Council, and then the commission in February of 26.
Excellent. Questions? Yes.
Could you help explain about the certificate in human services versus the AA? I mean, besides the actual, what differentiates the curriculum? Is there any difference? I mean, I realize the end is different, what you get degree seeking, but why do we have a certificate and a AA program with the same title.
Chair McGrath, trustees. One of the things within human services, of course, that 2-year time period, as you would see, even with your LPN into your RN, the certificate itself provides that additional training and development of people that may be in the field of human services. This is an area where we would really try to target different organizations that are already in existence to bring value added to their employees compared to actually someone taking that 2-year program and then going into human services to BSW, as an example, up through MSW for counseling. But I think with this area of human services, as we know, within this region, it's definitely necessary. And it's going to be necessary for us, honestly, to go into some organizations and really train and develop some of these individuals and employees more so. And that certificate is going to allow that to occur. You know, the short specific to this organization is going to allow that.
Trustee Paul?
Mr. Chairman, you probably like it better when I'm not at your meetings, but
Never.
I just have a quick, and this is just for my, I guess I just need understanding. The nursing ADN. I thought that's what we already had. So is this a second program?
Chair McGrath, Chair McGrath.
So, and I know this is like, and you're right, trustee, and I know this requires a separate accreditation. So is that why we're doing this as part of that separate accreditation?
So the ADN, the nursing program, was not on our original 26. So
Oh,
we're wanting to make sure we add it. So when we do achieve accreditation, we can pursue the ACE accreditation.
I knew
So
there was
that's
a
why we
really-
wanted on those, because remember, US Department of Ed, we have that 2-year probationary period where we can't bring forward a new program. So if it's on our participation agreement, we can move forward then with, that's why you see it.
Oh, maybe it
So that
was a
is a
second.
fantastic question with an even better answer.
Well, yeah, the answer was great. I thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Trustee Henderson.
And we're not going to do a certificate in nursing. Do we not do that anymore?
Chair McGrath,
Whitefield.
you want to come up?
Chair McGrath, trustees, we will still offer that certificate, but we do not admit students for that certificate. That's a separate, we would have to have separate accreditation for that. Our accreditation is for an ADN program.
I think so.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Sure, sure.
Yes,
Now I
please.
have a clarification, but in order for us to issue that certification, does it need to go through this process?
It does not. No.
Trustee Palmer. Nursing's great.
Great nursing program. And so when we're fully accredited and we get nursing accreditation, do we have to go back to offer a second level of courses? A second set of nursing courses to double, I guess, the number of nurses we can graduate under the ADN program. Once we're certified, we can offer as many programs as we can staff and afford.
Chair McGrath.
Please.
Trustee Palmer, let me clarify. When you say offer additional spots to ADN nurses or a different level of training?
Additional spot, a second
Cohort?
cohort of ADN.
So,
Thank you.
so one, we would have to get approval from ASIN because we right now are certified, or 32 is what we take. But we would have to notify ASIN for that. Where it comes into play is with Wyoming investment in nursing. And so we would want to apply once we're accredited, assessing for all those things. If we do that, we would definitely want to make sure we go back through the state to make sure we tap into that funding. Did I address that accurately?
Yes, Chair McGrath, trustee Palmer. Through our accreditation, if we were to increase our number from admitting 32 students to say 40 students, we do an annual report to ASIN and we would submit for a substantive change. And we would just have to prove that we had adequate space and faculty to provide that.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Chair McGrath.
Please.
Lindsay, could you maybe just give a real high level? So if we were to start another cohort of 32, what would that mean for faculty?
If we were to start another cohort of 32 students, something we've talked about admitting every semester. Because of ASIN, we have to maintain a 1:8 faculty to student ratio for safe clinical. So we would have to hire more nursing faculty.
Double the staff that we have.
Mhm.
now. Okay. Anything else?
Would we have the facility to handle?
It would take some creative staffing, but we have really great clinical partners, so I would not anticipate that clinical time would be an issue. And also, we're allowed to use up to 50% of clinical time in simulation, which we don't use that much right now. So we could ramp up that portion as well to relieve some of the clinical sites.
Okay. Any other questions? Then I would entertain a motion. Thank you.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by trustee Palmer and seconded by trustee Wasserberger to approve the academic programs as presented above. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Excellent. Thank you. Moving on, investment resolutions, Vice President Larson.
Technical pause.
Quick intermission, changing batteries. Assume we just keep a big stack of batteries in the drawer over there just in case. Is that? Larson, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair McGrath and trustees. As we have discussed in the past, we have about $2 million we would like to take out of our general operating account that doesn't earn interest and put it into some funds that will give us yield. The Finance Committee, Dr. Oberlander and Debbie Craig and I met with representatives from Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System, also known as Y-Class. Excuse me, and Wyoming Government Investment Fund, YGIF. And we included in these meetings Michelle Henderson from the city and Kirby Eisenhower with the school district, because they both use actually both of these funds, and we appreciated their input. After the meeting, the Finance Committee tasked Debbie Craig and I with analyzing and determining which one we liked better, which one we wanted to use. So both are very similar in how they operate. Both provide short-term returns on fully liquid investments, fully liquid funds. Both align with our cash management strategy. Both provide similar yields and both have local participation throughout the entire state. So it's really kind of a toss-up. We suggested actually investing in both. Y-Class is a liquid asset pool. YGIF also has a pool, but additionally offers term options of up to 365 days. So what we're requesting is that we invest 1 million in Y-Class and another 1 million in Wyoming Government Investment Fund into technically still short-term, but a longer duration, I guess, period. Probably, well, we'll have to decide whether we want to do the 90 days or a different option, but that's currently the highest return. Rates are going down, so it's going to be a little bit of a gamble to see what we see, which one the best is, but we'll do some more analysis and determine. But today we're asking to approve 2 resolutions. Each one asks for authorization to participate in these funds or open an account, and also to invest the first 1 million in each of them. If you pass the resolutions, I have copies of the resolution authorization that need to be signed. One by Chair McGrath and one by him and one other person. So happy to answer any questions if you have.
Questions? Hearing none, then I would request a motion. Do you want me to read? I would request a motion to approve the resolution authorizing participation in the Wyoming Government Investment Fund, YGIF, thereby permitting Gillette College to invest available cash balances in the fund. Furthermore, I request the board authorize the initial investment of $1 million to the Y-GIF Liquid Assets Series in accordance with the terms outlined in the fund's information statement and declaration trust.
I so moved.
Second.
Then it has been,
I'll read that. I move to,
this one.
that was the one we just did.
Yeah,
Oh, we
that's,
got to vote, okay,
yeah.
okay, I'm
We
sorry.
have to do both.
So it's been moved by trustee Anderson and seconded by trustee Palmer to approve the resolution authorizing participation in the Wyoming Government Investment Fund, YGIF, thereby permitting Gillette College to invest available cash balances in the fund. Furthermore, I request the board authorize the initial investment of $1 million into the YGIF Liquid Assets Series in accordance with the terms outlined in the fund's information statement and declaration of trust. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Excellent. Moving on to the next one.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing participation in the Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Asset Securities System, Y class, thereby permitting Gillette College to invest available cash balances in the trust. Furthermore, I request the board authorize the initial investment of $1 million into Wyoming Class Liquid Asset Series in accordance with the terms outlined in the fund's information statement and indenture of trust.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. We'll go with Smith. So it has been moved by trustee Anderson and seconded by trustee Smith to approve the resolution authorizing participation in the Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System, Wyoming Class, thereby permitting Gillette College to invest available cash balances in the trust. Furthermore, I request the board authorize the initial investment of $1 million into the Wyoming Class Liquid Asset Series in accordance with the terms outlined in the fund's information statement and indenture of trust. Any questions on that? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Well done.
Mr. Chairman,
It's
what an exciting,
I would agree.
what an exciting day that we're actually taking funds and investing them with our statewide groups and hopefully getting a reasonable rate of return. Thank you, thank you for your efforts and thank you for your work. It's an exciting moment in Gillette Community College District history.
I agree. Thank you very much.
Oh, we
Don't sit down.
started with 0.
Yeah.
A negative balance.
We
Okay.
had free employees.
Moving on, fiscal year 2026 pre-audit report, Vice President Larson.
Good afternoon, Chair McGrath and trustees. I would like to invite Brittany Wilson, our accountant with MHP, to come up and discuss the audit with you, our original draft.
Excellent. Welcome back, Brittany. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you in person.
Yes, Chair McGrath, trustees, thank you for having me today. And thank you for making sure there was sun waiting for me in Gillette, because there was none the entire drive up. So I was happy to see blue skies when I got up here. I guess you're right, Chair McGrath, it's the place to be, right?
100%.
I've learned my lesson. Okay, well, I will go ahead and hop into the draft audit report. I do have a couple of highlights that I'll cover, but as always, stop me if I say something that's in accounting that you don't understand, that you want to chat about more, or go like this if you want me to talk faster. Either way is fine with me. So I am here today to present the draft 2025 audit report. Just a quick note, only it is a draft in terms of we have completed all of our audit work on the college's balances and transactions. All of our testing is done. We are currently waiting for the Gillette College Foundation audit report to be finalized. Based on the relationship, the foundation is a component unit of the college under GASB, Governmental Accounting Boards, standard boards, and therefore it has to be included in your audit report. So that is the yellow highlights that you will see throughout.
May I just add one thing?
Yes.
So Chair McGrath, trustees, the foundation has worked hard to get their audit complete. They have transitioned to a new accounting platform. Their audit will not be done in time for us to get this to the November board meeting. So you will see the final audit in December. So on behalf of the foundation, I know Heidi is not happy about that, but it's just the reality of that conversion.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
One of the trustees.
Okay, so throughout our audit report, you're going to see two reports issued. The first one is under generally accepted auditing standards, and the second one is under government auditing standards. I'll also cover just some statement highlights, the significant accounting estimates from the financial statements, and then the report to you all as the Board of Trustees. So the first report is on pages 1 to 3. This is the report under generally accepted auditing standards set by the AICPA. This one is the report that you will see on all financial statement audits. And we are happy to be issuing an unmodified or clean audit opinion. As you continue through, management discussion and analysis on pages 4 to 8 provides a high-level comparative information. The financial statements themselves begin on page 9 with the statements of net position, the equivalent to your balance sheet. A couple of accounts that I just want to point out to you because they're a little bit unique. First of all, you have a couple receivables from Northern Wyoming Community College District on your books. The first is that due from other governments account, and that is relating to the tuition for the Gillette College students that has not yet been collected by the students, so not yet remitted to you. And the other one is the right to receive assets. So that relates to the buildings that you all are occupying, have assumed, paid the debt on, but haven't actually received title to those assets yet. So just legally, they can't be shown in your property and equipment balances. Yeah.
On the due from other government, the net of allowance of 385,000 and 84,000 respectively. I know the 84,000 is bad debt on tuition. What's the 385,000?
Great question, Trustee Anderson. So that is account balances that Northern Wyoming Community College District has determined they do not believe are collectible. So gross, that account balance would be double what it is. So right now there's about, oh, forgive me, I'm gonna have to admit I'm bad at math in my head. $760,000 gross of student receivables. But based on the aging of those receivables, Northern has indicated to us that they believe that there's a pretty high uncollectible rate on those. And I know Vice President Larson and I discussed that at length. About how when those are in her control and her office's control, she has plans for collections. But unfortunately, they lie without not in our control.
And can I add
Yes.
something? Some of that is pretty old, so probably was even related to before we broke away. It's pretty old stuff, and they just decided that's not collectible. They're not.
Did that answer the question, Trustee Anderson? Perfect. So another thing I wanted to cover was the impact of property tax collections. So obviously as the mill levy that you are part of, you are getting those collections. A couple of years ago with Senate File 60, it got a little wonky in accounting world. Wonky is the technical term that was utilized in case you're wondering.
Gatsby term?
Yeah, it's a GASB term. And so a couple of balances, you'll see the property taxes receivable balance. So that relates to taxes that have been levied on January 1st, but aren't actually assessed until after year end. So that's offset in our world by the unavailable property taxes. And then also under liabilities, there's advanced payments property taxes, which is over $10 million balance. And that's such a huge number. So I just want to explain what that is. So with Senate File 60, they started collecting those mineral ad valorem taxes monthly to try to increase odds of collection on them. However, the accounting doesn't correlate with it. So they're actually related to they're collected prior to being levied and assessed. So therefore we can't actually say you have a right to them in accounting. And so that's why they're shown as an advanced payment. So really the way we continue to think of it, they're being collected and remitted to you now, but really they're being used to fund future periods. So that's why they're shown as a liability there.
Please. Mr. Chair, thank you for that very concise encapsulated definition. So those are going to be on our books for like 18 years.
Are we talking about the ones that the payment was, yep. So yep.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, your county was more highly impacted by Senate File 60 and the impact than other counties that I work with colleges within.
Certainly this college was.
Yes, yep, yep, absolutely. The next, we did have a new GASB statement this year, GASB 101. We're officially over 100. I think Vice President Larson was really glad she had Debbie on her staff this year because I got to chat GASBs with somebody else, and I don't think she missed that. So this one had us look at accrued compensated absences, and then specifically look at the allocation between current and long-term on those. So I won't bore you with all the details there. Really, the balances didn't change a lot. One thing that did change, if you look at liabilities, is really we're showing less in the current accrued compensated absences and more in the long term. Really, when we looked at that standard, we determined that people are accruing more leave than they're typically utilizing within the year. And so based on that, that leave that's been accrued historically won't be paid out until termination. So we looked at retention rates to determine what portion should be current versus long current. And then two additional liabilities that I want to point out on your financial statements. Net pension liability, you should be familiar with. That related to GASB 68, related to your participation in the public employee pension plan under Wyoming retirement system. And then total OPEB liability, this may still pop up in your nightmares of audits past, but you actually get a balance this year. I don't know if we can celebrate a new liability on the financial statements, but that is due to your participation in the state employee group insurance, retiree health insurance plan, and that they are both actuarially determined, as we'll talk about later on. Really quickly, on page 12, your statements of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, equivalent of your income statement. A couple of things I'll note there. The college did show an overall decrease in net position of about $890,000. Naturally, we continue to see expenses increase as operations continue to grow up. You can see that allocation down at the bottom between compensation and benefits, supplies and services, and depreciation and amortization remaining very consistent year over year. Also consistent with other community colleges in the state. So very normal to see a big chunk of it in compensation and benefits. The operating revenue, first line campus course revenue, that is our name for the tuition revenue that is collected by Northern and then remitted to here for any students on the Gillette campus. And there was a pretty substantial decrease in state and local grants and contracts. And that was just related to the varying levels of the Wyoming Innovation Partnership funding that came in. So last year, there was nearly $1.5 million that came in on that. So really quickly, 3 significant accounting estimates within your financial statements. I've briefly touched on all 3 of these, but really quickly, there are additional details in note 8 and note 9 if you'd like to learn more about, yeah.
Just an observation.
Yes.
Brittany, thank you. Notes 8 and 9. So as I went through the 45 pages of the preliminary financial statement, and realizing we don't have any control over Wyoming retirement or GASB 68 with the OPEB. And yet nearly, well, actually over a fourth of our financial statements, the 45, is OPEB and Wyoming retirement, of which we have no control. It's simply we participate. So the observation is, how much time does it take the accountants, our auditors, and our vice president and her wonderful staff that have to put together all this information for a GASB that we have no control over? Just an observation.
Absolutely. You mean the statements that are there to benefit the users of the financial statements? Did you find use?
Oh, no. Laying awake nights.
Absolutely. I will say the good news on both of these is they are actuarially determined by actuaries that are hired by the state for the OPEB and then Wyoming Retirement Systems. And so those actuary reports do provide us the majority of the information we need for this. That being said, I think your observation is completely valid, right? I hand you a report this big and a good half of it you could tear out and like, right? And I know it hasn't impacted Gillette yet. And I don't know if it will. I would anticipate it could as you continue to gain additional employees. But at all my other colleges, the net pension and the total OPEB liabilities have become so large that they've brought all of their unrestricted net positions negative. So in my board presentations, I actually do a calculation for them that shows what their unrestricted net position is if you remove out those liabilities. Because when I hand a board a report that says, oh, I'm sorry, you have negative unrestricted net position, they're like, what did we do wrong? So I think that very well could be coming your way in the future.
Yippee.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And then the third one being the unavailable property taxes related to taxes that have been assessed but not yet levied. Our second report is the one under government auditing standards on pages 41 to 42. This is the report, obviously specific for governmental entities, addressing internal control over financial reporting, your compliance with laws and regulations. I'm happy to report once again a clean report, no internal control deficiencies or non-compliance noted. So overall, 2 gold stars for the day. And then finally, there's an additional document titled Report to the Board of Trustees. And that I am required under my professional standards to give you all as those charged with governance this summary document. And so quickly, a summary of it, no changes to the college's significant accounting policies. There was an adoption of a new GASB statement this year. No significant unusual transactions, disagreements with management, significant issues or difficulties. We really enjoyed working with the team. Vice President Larson, Debbie, Sam, we're all great to work with and we really appreciate them. Any questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Just another observation, or I guess question, then observation. So who all was involved in preparation of the MD&A?
Oh, that was primarily me.
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Those are not easy to do.
Although I copied much of it from the year before. It was both of us. It was both of us.
But the numbers all have to be updated. And so, well done. I guess my question is how, because I know we've gone back to, I think you went back as far as 22 this time. Is that going to be, is that an ongoing, how far do we have to go back every time? And if so, then I would suggest you start going to graphs instead of having the narrative. That might be a little easier for you as well as for us to take a look at, but.
Sure, great point. I think it's 3 years.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so, and
It's a rolling 3 years.
yeah, it's a rolling 3 year. It's actually for however many years you have presented your financial statements +1. So since you have comparative statements, it's 3 years. Some governments do 1 year statements. They only have 2 years in their MD&A.
Thank you.
Any other questions during our audit? Or our pre-audit report?
All just coming, that I hope everyone was able to fully understand all of this stuff after your trustee education last semester.
I pulled up all my notes.
Good.
Chair McGrath.
Yes.
Sorry, just one more comment. And Brittany and I spoke about this during my interview with her. And I know the board really does like having that audit in November. What I would suggest to the board is that as we begin to register students and we begin to go through the full process, that is a very short time frame for us to close and get through an audit. And so I would respectfully ask your consideration as the years go by that we look at a December approval. Brittany, Vice President Larson, anything to add to that?
I would just add, as we get more federal grants, we have to do what's called single audits. That takes extra time. And as we offer student financial aid, it's another whole wrinkle. So yes, I appreciate that, President Oberlander. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but it would be helpful if we had another month.
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
Mr. Palmer.
Well, and I respect that, I do, and I certainly would defer to the rest of the trustees. But the whole reason I'd like to see it done in November, and I think I've expressed this before, is because of the transition after an election. That the new board is seated in December. And I think it's important that the board that was involved with that fiscal year audit is still present when the audit is reported. And because they were the ones responsible, or members of that board were responsible. And so that's the reason I say that it would be nice that it's done in November before, while the existing board is still in place. And that was my whole rationale. But I certainly, I know it's to get an audit done on time, like some other agencies have struggles with, but I think having the audit done on time, I think is a great benefit. And certainly having it done within the Department of Audit's requirements, which is the end of the calendar year. I think kudos to you, and I don't want to put undue pressure on the foundation either, because I know that's tough for them to get all that stuff done. So but that was my only rationale, was to try to get it done while the current board was seated.
And Trustee Palmer, if I could throw out another option for the board to consider as well. We obviously have the insight of knowing what all of our other college clients do as well. So some take the route of waiting for final approval in December. Of course, you have noted concerns with that, which I understand. Some take the route of opting to do a first reading to like an audit committee or a finance committee in early November, and then bring the second reading and the final report to the full board. So that way they're able to get 2 readings in, but to keep it in the November timeframe. So I think we definitely have options that we can look at in the future.
Good, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I'm going to be that person who reports and runs. My son's in the tackle football championship tonight, and he asked 3 times that I would be back on time. And I told him I could make that happen.
What grade? Good luck.
Thank you.
What grade?
5th grade.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, good luck.
Yes, nose tackle, I'm told. I had to learn the position because I've learned that's a common question, and I just stare and I'm like, he's on the defensive line.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, good luck.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you for that, Vice President Larson and your staff. Thank you very much. Moving on to the approval of the resolution to pursue transfer of the main building, President Oberlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, thank you. We had an excellent meeting with the county commissioners workshop actually a few weeks ago where we discussed the transfer of the county-owned buildings and property. During that discussion, they requested that we bring forward documents to include the main building. We did submit original documents for all the other county-owned buildings except Maine. In our letter to them, we did ask for Maine. So legal counsel has prepared documents for the main building. In addition, legal counsel has also updated the original documents to include some new verbiage, which I think is very appropriate. And so legal counsel Horning, would you like to address the changes in the quitclaim deeds and the transfer of verbiage?
Mr. Chairman, thank you, President Overlander. You want me to distribute these?
Would you like copies?
Send them around the
Please.
board? A lot of those make their way around. I'll provide context, which I think President Overlander covered substantially, but at that meeting, as President Overlander said, the commissioners invited the board to at least tender proposed forms for the transfer of the main administration building. So what you have there on the top, the memorandum of understanding, and then immediately followed by an assignment of transfer and interest and then a quitclaim deed. That's the exact same format that you used when you provided proposed transfer documents previously for the tech center, the Pronghorn Center, and the rodeo complex. So this follows that exact same format. You'll remember that the difference between the main administration building and the other properties, and the reason why they weren't initially tendered by the board, is that main administration building is owned entirely by the county, always has been, and it didn't have a mechanism in it which, upon formation of a new district that involved Campbell County, would result in an immediate termination and transfer of the property. It's a unique animal, and all it provided was that in the event there was a new district, well, then the county could terminate the lease, but it said nothing about what would happen. Whereas as I said with the county, other county related properties provided a turnover. So this is slightly same format, but you'll see the extension of recital clauses as we've done with every one of these. We recite the context and chronology of the particular property and recite the memorandums that provided for their establishment and construction, et cetera, all the way up to date. And the memorandum then provides finally for an actual mechanism for the accomplishment of the transfer. Again, that's what this does. So that's what you have before you. I'll obviously entertain any questions about it, but it's standard format we've used. Referring to these additional deeds that President Oberlander referred to, what we did in preparing this memorandum for the main administration building, because it's slightly different, it occurred to me, and I discussed with President Oberlander, for elimination of any possibility of a misperception by any party. Simply added in the proposed forms of deed for the Pronghorn Center, Tech Center, Rodeo Ag Complex, simply added to the granting clause that it includes improvements, fixtures, and equipment, just prudential. And again, I think the emphasis is just to eliminate the potential for any misperception. So we propose, as part of delivery of documents for the main administration building, to then also tender those revised forms of deed for the commission to consider. And that is all further that I know, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
One question I have, Legal Counsel Morning, does this also include the maintenance reserve funds associated with said buildings?
It refers to repair and maintenance funds in the memorandum and in the assignment of interest. And it's specifically addressed, yes. And I would point you to, if you'll head to the assignment, it's in the memorandum, it's also in the assignment of transfer document. If you'll look at the first page of the assignment transfer document, the last partial paragraph, last sentence then goes in and recites that any funds for purposes of repairs or maintenance held, administered, and or invested by the county and in all rights of the county with respect to such funds. So yes, as we've done on prior occasions, it addresses the transfer of any funds associated.
Thank you. Any other questions from the trustees? Hey, hearing none. Puzzled look.
I wait till after we've.
Okay, any, want to read that starting there?
Yeah.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to approve of the proposed form of the memorandum of understanding and instruments of transfer for the main administration building and the proposed revised forms of the quit complaint deed for the conveyance of the Tech Center, Pronghorn Center, and soccer field, and the rodeo complex to be forwarded to the Campbell County Commission.
Excellent. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved by trustee Wasberger and seconded by trustee Williams to approve the proposed form of the memorandum of understanding and instruments of transfer for the main administration building and the proposed revised forms of quitclaim deed for the conveyance of the Tech Center, Pronghorn Center, and soccer field and rodeo complex to be forwarded to the Campbell County Commission. Questions? Trustee Palmer. Do you have any questions?
Guys, just giving us a little bit of feedback.
I'll wait until the feedback stops. So my only, I guess, so these are gonna go, Mr. Horning and President Overland, these are gonna go now to the county commissioners, I guess, through the county attorney's office, I would imagine. And then they'll go on to the commissioner's docket for approval. Are we sending along with this then also the request for additional information that was asked for during our discussion with the commissioners? That being I guess off the top, I'm trying to think, but there was questions having to do with the maintenance fund and what steps are we taking to fund maintenance long-term? What have we done currently? What are we doing in the future? So is there a narrative that is going to go with this?
Mr. Chairman, may I answer just a part of that question? Trustee Palmer, we are tendering these to the commission directly. I don't know what I don't know how they address that with council. I'm sure they'll review it, but no, this is going straight from you folks to the commission. So,
President Overland.
Chair McGrath, trustee Palmer, yes. Marty Wolf, our director of facilities, along with Vice President Larson and myself, will complete that narrative. It is hunting season. We do have a few people off hunting. So early next week is when we'll get the chance to address that and put all that packet together. And then we'll deliver all of that together with what you're approving today.
I love that in July, when things are done in a manner of what is an acquiesce to hunting season.
I actually called the director of facilities yesterday and he said, you're going to lose me because I am just now leaving my vehicle too.
Any further questions?
I would like to thank you and Dr. Overlander, especially Bob, who's Mr. Smooth when it comes to educating the commission, because it was pretty eye-opening to them for a lot of you all said. And as I left and watched the commissioners, which I'm sure you all did, I was pretty positive that they're going to be okay with what we present to them. And as I said, it was an eye opener to them in relationship to what you guys all presented to them. And it was nicely done and they accepted it very well. You know, there was a few eyes rolled, you know, and a few heads went up and down and shook. But anyway, I was very positive about how I felt in relationship to how were they gonna, you know, receive this.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Any other questions, thoughts? All right, then I would move to vote. Hearing no other questions, all those in favor of submitting this to the county commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Committee reports, WACD and WCCC committee reports, President Overlander, Trustee Smith, and Trustee Day, who is not here. Trustee Smith and President Overlander.
Chairman, both Trustee Day and I attended in person. It was held in Douglas at their satellite building, very nice facility. Somebody in the state paid for, I'm sure. And we pretty much the discussion of the meeting was LCCC changing its name. That took up a lot of time. Which, you know, I'm like, could we do this after? But, and then Dr. Overlander can cover it on where they're going to try to get more state funding to help with this insurance and cost of living. And it went through the whole realm, ignoring us, of course. And then afterwards, I did sit down with the sidebar with Executive Director Aaron Taylor, who runs the WACD, and expressed our concern, at least mine, on every time they go to the state to increase, to get help, it costs us more money. And at some point, WACD is going to have to start promoting us and either encourage legislation or a change in something. And I bluntly as I could said, you know, we're 1/8 of this deal. We pay our fees. We need representation. And
Good for you.
And she said, I will be coming to Gillette and we will discuss this. So,
Excellent.
that is my report.
Anything else? We do have, I'm just gonna make note of it, but we do have elections coming up here for our board. And so if you have any intentions or thoughts of a particular position you'd entertain or like, please let me know personally so that we can then move those forward and what that looks like going forward. So Just know that that will be on next month's. Because that's typically Dr. Overlander reminding me that's done in November. So just keep that in mind of where you're at on that.
One other thing I did forget. And Ellis he picked up all of these. I'm sure you can see it on the website, but this one thing we do benefit from a little bit. And this is their phase 3, and it's very nicely done on what other community colleges are using the WIP money for. You'll have it at the next meeting. Or you can see it.
Yeah, Chairman, I think I have to talk about the LACT meeting or not, or the commission meeting, if that's something the
Please.
trustees are interested in hearing. So as Trustee Smith alluded to, the discussions with budget, they were certainly working on a 19 million increase or request for variable cost and funding, and then 24 million for CTE and workforce funding. So those are the requests that went to the governor's office. I wasn't able to listen in on the governor's hearings, so I'll look forward to getting caught up on that. In regard to the commission meeting, much of the discussion focused around tuition. They're certainly looking at strategic plan, updating their strategic plan. Dr. Spriggs was on that committee. They did a lovely job, so that's in progress too, but tuition took up the majority of the conversation. If you look at the Constitution and the statutes say, specifically in statute, it says community college should be accessible and as free as possible. And so there's hesitation for us to increase tuition costs. Right now, we're in-state is 105 per credit. WUI and Nebraska residents are at 158, and then non-residents are 315 per credit hour. So our tuition remains affordable. I believe the University of Wyoming approved a $7 tuition increase at their last trustee meeting, and I believe they're pushing up into close to 160 per credit hour now. I don't have that exact figure in front of me, but I can get it. So a lot of
In-state, I'm sorry.
in-state,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
So a lot of questions around whether it's the right time for us to increase tuition because of the reduced funding that the community colleges are getting. But if we were to increase tuition to the point to cover that revenue loss, I believe it was a $25 per credit hour increase. That doesn't match what our philosophy is, right? Because now we're pushing up into UW tuition, which doesn't fit the philosophy as free as possible. So just know that the Wyoming Community College Commission had a lengthy conversation on this. The motion was to delay the decision until February, until after we know what's happening in the legislative arena for funding. So at this point, tuition increase has not been approved. And then I'm sure in February, we'll go back and revisit it during that meeting.
Do you or anybody else on the board have any idea the last time the commission did a tuition increase?
I believe it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
You know, and I'm trying to remember, I don't think it's been, well, I can tell you because, gosh, I have it right in front of me in the tables that have been provided. So we've had 105 per credit hour since 21-22. So the last increase went from $99 per credit hour. And then in 21-22, it went to 105. So it's been a while since we've had an increase.
Might have less than UW.
Yeah. Okay.
Quite a bit less.
Anything else from WACT or WCCC? Okay, I will move on to public comment. I do see Mr. Jeff Wasserberger is on there regarding BOCES. Or did you just write in, sign it in?
No, I just signed in.
Okay. Fair enough. Then upcoming events, I don't see that it's on there, but I will say this Saturday, there is the University of Wyoming basketball is playing University of Northern Colorado here at the Pronghorn Center. Tickets are still available. I think, they would love to, like anybody would love to sell out, but
We do not have those tickets. You've got to go through the University of Wyoming.
yes, there's a website, or go through the University of Wyoming and then there are e-tickets. Pretty easy, but anyway, should be a good time. It's nice to see Coach Wicks coming back home and Steve Smiley, who used to coach at Sheridan College. So, and Northern Colorado won the Big Sky Conference last year. So should be a good game if you're not doing anything. Yes, sir.
I do have one question I've been asked is, what is the college's role on this?
The
Hosting,
University of Wyoming.
just hosting, I've been asked.
Yep, we've made, Chair McGrath, Trustee Smith, thank you. We've made our facility available. The University of Wyoming will cover the custodial costs, but otherwise we have opened up our home to our partners at the University of Wyoming. Of course, we'll take care of the game day the scoreboards. We're very protective of our equipment in the Pronghorn Center. So it's our staff who will be operating the scoreboards and the digital boards and the sound booths.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think we get concessions as well. Am I wrong on that?
We would get concessions, yeah.
So.
And UW is playing with all the scoreboard people, music people,
They have no choice because we do not let other people play with our scoreboards.
so
Yes.
the
Even if just-
UW is gonna help finance that.
I'm not sure. I
What do you
don't know
mean
if they're
finance
gonna
it?
pay for
Well, I
those
mean,
salaries.
pay
I don't know
the,
if they're
yeah,
gonna
pay
for
the,
those salaries.
the people who work the board and the scorebook.
I see what you're saying.
That I
The
don't know.
music, you know,
Energy City Voices will perform national anthem at the beginning of the game. So we're pleased that our
Donating
students can be there. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Good question. Reminder, October 27th, 28th, HLC candidacy visit, comprehensive visit, schedule is coming out. Might change a little bit, but maybe not. We'll see. November 12th is the board retreat. Put that on your schedule. Are we having that at the Pronghorn Center? Are we having it?
Trustees, we have a location for the board retreat. We're going to be in the new Energy City Voices studio.
Excellent.
On the Pronghorn Center.
Oh, excellent.
So they will be down here getting ready for their fall show. So
You
they'll be in the
should
tech center.
all be having your phone calls with okay, good. 'Cause I have mine on Friday.
she's
Huh?
done. She's all done except performing.
I'll do that one is. Is that you? No, no, for me, for the final, I know, but.
Well, yeah, no, I think she still has an appointment with trustee Day.
Excellent. Okay.
I have heard that trustee Williams and trustee McGrath will be recording the fight song.
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
Hey, we'll do that.
Well,
Good
and
job.
what a perfect place to have an audition.
Oh, there we
right?
go.
Right in the
Yeah.
GCCD Voices studio.
Excellent.
Can I-
Larry will play the piano.
You guys heard nails on the chalkboard? Trustee
I'll
Anderson.
just remind everyone that for the HLC candidacy comprehensive visit, it is recommended that we wear professional dress.
And name tags for your name tags. If you need a name tag, let me know. We'll get you a name.
So shorts and tank tops are not.
Shorts and tank tops are not appropriate.
Okay. All right.
And please know, trustees, that there's been advisory board members invited to the stakeholder luncheon. There's another opportunity for some of our advisory board members to meet in a stakeholder meeting.
All right. I request a motion to adjourn.
So move.
It's been moved and seconded. Motion adjourned or meeting adjourned.